First, let's take a look at the global markets. China's mainland stocks closed lower Wednesday, with the benchmark Shanghai Composite Index down 0.27%. Hong Kong stocks and Tokyo shares are closed for holiday. U.S. stocks traded in a narrow range on Tuesday, closing higher as U.S. Federal Reserve kicked off its two-day monetary policy meeting. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 0.17%. The S&P 500 added 0.12%. The Nasdaq Composite Index increased 0.06%. For other markets, the U.S. dollar traded mixed against other major currencies on Tuesday as the Federal Reserve kicked off its two-day monetary policy meeting. Oil prices kept falling Tuesday as investors awaited weekly data on U.S. crude and petroleum product supplies, scheduled for release Wednesday. Gold futures on the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange rose slightly on Tuesday as investors awaited the outcome of the U.S. Federal Reserve's monetary policy meeting. Now let's take a look at the agriculture futures from our correspondent Joe Vaklavik in Chicago.
This is Joe Vaklavik from CME Group here in Chicago. The wheat market was mixed on Tuesday after a sharply higher trade on Monday. This has really turned into a weather market over the last few days. A great deal of western Kansas into portions of Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado had some excessive snowfall, freezing temperatures, and really just some nasty winter weather over the weekend. And what you've got to remember here is that a lot of this wheat crop is ahead of schedule. The wheat crop in Kansas as a whole was ahead of schedule, I believe, by about 2 weeks. So there has definitely been some damage done, and it's going to take the market a little while to assess that damage. The funds have been hugely short the wheat market. As a matter of fact, as of last Tuesday, CFTC reported that funds were record short the Chicago wheat market. So on Monday of this week, Sunday night into Monday, we certainly saw some short covering in both the Chicago and Kansas City wheat markets, and we're seeing things settle down here a little bit today, but the market really still holding the vast majority of gains. Again, Joe Vaklavik from CME Group here in Chicago.
Thank you, and we'll keep you updated on the daily agriculture futures. The Eurozone manufacturing sector rose to a 6-year high in April.
The Eurozone Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, stands at 56.7 in April, up from 56.2 in March. That is according to IHS Markit on Tuesday. 7 out of the 8 Eurozone nations covered recorded an improvement in operating conditions, and the growth was led by Germany, which saw its rate of expansion remain close to March's 71-month high. Output, new orders, and employment all rise at quickest rates in 6 years. IHS Markit, based in London, is a global financial information and analytics company.
More news from Europe.
Italy's overall jobless rate rose slightly on a monthly basis in April, while unemployment among youth continued falling. On Tuesday, the Italian National Institute of Statistics said the number of unemployed people rose above 3 million again in April, up 1.4% from March. This meant that the seasonally adjusted national unemployment rate crept up to 11.7% last month, an 0.1% increase from March. However, there was better news for young adults. The jobs rate for Italians aged between 15 and 24 decreased by 0.4% over the previous month and by 3% on an annual basis. This is the lowest level in more than 5 years. In terms of numbers, some 22.87 million people were employed in Italy in March, unchanged over the previous month. The Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa said on Tuesday he was optimistic regarding the country's unemployment figures and that they seem to confirm economic growth. The president's remarks come after Eurostat reviewed that Portugal's unemployment rate saw one of the biggest decreases in the Eurozone in March. He added that unemployment and growth figures at the end of 2017 would surpass expectations of the government, the Bank of Portugal, the European institutions, and the OECD.
The UK economy had a surprise boost on Tuesday after a respected business survey showed unexpectedly strong manufacturing figures for April. The figures were the best for 3 years and show signs of strong domestic demand and rising exports.
The Purchasing Managers' Index smashed predictions for April in the UK. Despite a consensus predicting the figure would slow slightly from March's level from 54.2 down to 54, it in fact jumped a healthy 57.3. The PMI survey measures business optimism with a score above 50, representing that more firms expect to grow in the near future. Experts say the figure was a marked improvement on the 2016 average of 52.3 and overwhelmingly upbeat. Experts point to the survey as a sign that the current weak sterling is feeding through to factories. While manufacturers who pay for their raw materials in dollars are having to pay more, the fall in the sterling also makes UK products more competitive on the international market and boosts profit margins for sales made overseas.
The U.S. Senate has confirmed Jay Clayton as the new chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the country's financial sector watchdog.
In a vote of 61 to 37, the Senate approved Clayton's nomination on Tuesday. His term will expire in 2021. As the SEC chairman, Clayton will be responsible for regulating large banks and will play a role in President Donald Trump's efforts to roll back financial regulations. Clayton is a former partner at the law firm Sullivan & Cromwell. He has decades of experience in mergers, acquisitions, and federal regulatory compliance. During his nomination hearing, Clayton told lawmakers that he favored easing regulations in order to encourage IPOs.
Proposed by China in 2013, the Belt and Road Initiative is now facilitating better trade between China and European nations. Among those benefiting from the initiative is the Netherlands' biggest dairy company, Royal Friesland Campina. It can now reach their Chinese customers through rail transportation. And now let's take a look.
More than 15,000 cans of the Dutch company's infant formula Friso are being loaded into this 45-foot-high cube container. They will first travel by truck to Herne in Germany, where they will then be loaded onto the China-Europe Rail Express, eventually arriving in southwest China's Chongqing municipality. To make this happen, Mischa and his colleagues from Royal Friesland Campina have been working on the project for nearly 2 years. Mischa said the train freight has many advantages compared with other means of transportation.
I think the advantage compared to air freight is that the costs are way lower. It's roughly 10 times cheaper than making use of air freight. So that's a lot of money, which also our farmers are benefiting from. And if you compare it to ocean freight, you see that the transit time is like roughly half of the transit time of an ocean container. So that means roughly a saving of almost 20 days. Which is, of course, it enables us to reach our Chinese customers faster.
This first trial shipping will reach China in about 2 weeks, traveling through many countries en route. If the rail transportation proves successful, the company could decide to use China-Europe Rail Express in the future.
So this test trial we will evaluate, and if this was really successful, then we'll continue. Because this for us is a very interesting way of transporting our products to China. This container is very well able to transport a lot of other goods that Friesland Campina wants to sell. And dependent on the demands in the market, we could also use this same transport also for other product types. So yes, that would really be an interesting option.
The logistics team said food safety and transportation speed are the 2 key factors for successful shipping. Vermeer said their dairy products can enter the Chinese market in 27 days by rail, of which 20 days are needed for the journey and 7 days for custom clearance. This time frame meets the company's requirements. Friesland Campina is the biggest dairy cooperation in the Netherlands, and China is one of their key markets since their entrance in 1994. The company's 2016 annual report showed it earned a revenue of about 560 million euros in the Chinese market, with an increase of 27% year-on-year. China now has express freight services to over 25 European cities. Since March 2011, more than 3,500 trips have been made, and the figure should rise to 5,000 by 2020.
More news from China. A series of new regulations for online news service providers has been announced, including firms with foreign investment to go through a security review.
The regulation, issued by the Cyberspace Administration of China, or CAC, requires the online news service providers to abide by the law, promote healthy internet culture, and safeguard national and public interest. It said that service providers should install a set of security measures such as reviews, checks, and emergency responses regarding online news. There should be an editor-in-chief for all online news service providers, and staff should be suitably qualified. It said that platform operators should protect the privacy of users. The regulation particularly noted the obligations of online news platform operators whose services would only be available to users who register with their real identities. In a separate regulation on Tuesday, the CAC updated its administrative law enforcing procedures. The regulation aims to standardize obligations for online news management departments, clarify penalties, and protect the legal rights of people and other organizations. The two regulations will go into force on June the 1st. China's central bank suspended open market operations Tuesday in a sign of policy tightening. The People's Bank of China, or PBOC, withdrew around $10 billion from the market as the reverse repurchase agreements, or repos, matured. The central bank has now conducted open market operation reserve repos for 9 consecutive days. Analysts said such moves reinforce the view that liquidity in the banking system will remain tight in May as the economy stabilizes in an uncertain environment. China's GDP expanded 6.9% year-on-year in the first quarter, up from the 6.8% growth of the previous quarter. China has set the tune of its monetary policy in 2017 as prudent and neutral, keeping an appropriate liquidity level, but also avoiding excessive liquidity injections. In a bid to encourage the development of logistics industry, China will offer favorable tax terms to lower the cost of commodity storage for logistics firms. The Ministry of Finance said it will cut tax rates for urban-based logistics facilities that store commodities such as agricultural and mineral products by half. The cut, which will only apply to facilities that cover an area of 6,000 square meters or above, will run from the start of this year until the end of 2019. China's logistics industry has been growing steadily thanks to government support that promises lower taxes and costs. In 2016, the gross revenue of the sector hit $1.1 trillion, up 4.6% from 2015. The authorities said they will also encourage more sophisticated development of the logistics sector from 2016 to 2020 to bolster economic growth and deepen supply-side reform.
Turning to some company news. Major U.S. airlines were questioned at a heated hearing on Capitol Hill on Tuesday as lawyers pressed for better customer protection and service. The hearing comes after a passenger was violently dragged off a United flight last month.
The U.S. airline industry's overbooking and bumping policies have come under fire following the United flight incident that caused global outrage. David Dowd suffered from a concussion and 2 broken teeth when he was dragged off a United flight after the airline announced it needed to make room for crew members. He reached a settlement with the airline later last month. United CEO Oscar Munoz on Tuesday made another apology to Dow before the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee with the House of Representatives.
And we had a horrible failure 3 weeks ago. It is not who we are. It is not this company. And then, frankly, it's not this industry. We have many successes, and it's important to note the two. But we're here to talk, to discuss certain issues that won't happen again. So we will work incredibly hard to re-earn not your business necessarily, but your trust.
At the hearing, United Airlines, Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, and Southwest Airlines agreed to shorten their lengthy customer service contracts, which customers must accept whenever they book a ticket. However, the airline's commitment to change is seen by some as small in comparison with their service problem. Some House lawmakers criticized a worsening airline services, such as crowded planes, narrow seats, and computer failures that leave thousands of passengers stranded at a time. Apple said it has sold fewer iPhones in the first quarter of 2017 compared to last year. The California firm, which is due to release a new phone later this year, said it sold 50.8 million iPhones in the period, down 1% year-on-year. Apple boss Tim Cook blamed a pause as customers wait for the next iPhone. Shares in the firm fell nearly 2% in after-hours trading after earlier hitting a record high on expectations of better results. However, the dip in iPhone sales was offset by services including Apple Pay, iCloud, and the App Store, which recorded an 18% increase in sales to reach $7 billion. The recent increase in oil prices has helped BP to record a healthy profit for the 3 months to March. Using the company's preferred measure, BP said profits hit $1.5 billion for the quarter, compared with $532 million a year ago. This year's oil prices have been about 35% higher in the first 3 months compared to 2016, boosting revenue from BP's core oil and gas production division. The big three American automakers, namely General Motors, Ford, and Fiat Chrysler automobiles, all reported sales decreases in April. This suggested that U.S. auto sales may be stagnating. The falls were particularly noticed in the manufacturer's sales of pickup trucks, often seen as the emblem of the American car industry. GM's pickup sales dropped an overall 14% year-on-year in April. Chevrolet Silverado sales lost 20%, and the GMC Sierra sales fell 15%. Ford also saw its car sales drop 21% in April. American car makers weren't the only companies to record falls. Nissan North America and Toyota Motor North America also posted year-on-year decline in April sales, dropping 1.5% and 4.4% respectively. Volkswagen AG, however, bucked the downward trend and posted a 1.6% increase in April. Despite the falls, analysts remain confident of a good year for the industry and predict sales to total at or above 17 million units in 2017.
Technology is changing the world we live in, from driverless vehicles to supercomputers able to replicate a human's ability to answer questions. Many have witnessed the achievement accomplished by robotic technologies. Today, Lifestyles will show you the development of robotic technology and how it affects human lives. Robotic technology development started in the 1950s, and today, this technology has been applied in various industries. The Spanish Center for Scientific Investigation, or CSIC, is playing a key role in a major international project, which is developing robots to make the process of clearing mines both faster and safer. The prototype has robotic arms in its front and a metal detector in its rear. It can scan the area and send a message to its base about the possible location of the mines.
As it has 6 legs, the robot can then carry on walking. If there is a mine, it can jump over it and continue with its work. It can move at around 0.3 meters a second.
The robotic technology is also widely applied in the area of medical treatment. Intuitive Surgical, an American company majoring in robotic-assisted minimally invasive surgery, and Fosun Pharma, a healthcare group in Shanghai, have announced a joint venture to research, develop, and manufacture innovative robotic-assisted catheter-based medical devices. The Da Vinci surgical system features a 3D HD vision system for clear and magnified view inside patient's body. The instruments bend and rotate far greater than a human wrist. The surgeon controls the robot, which translates his or her hand movements into smaller, more precise movements of tiny instruments inside the patient's body. It allows surgeons to perform complex and routine procedures through a few small openings, similar to traditional laparoscopy. Bionic robotics is the application of biological methods and systems found in nature to the study and the design of robots. Shanghai University in East China has unveiled a slew of bionic robots. They include Amoeba, which tries to model on an amoeba, a type of cell on an organism that has the ability to alter its shape. X-Dog, a small and low-cost quadruped robot, can walk, jump, and run. It may resist impact while keeping balance. Trafball 1 and Trafball 2 are rolling balls with legs inside. The balls can stick out their legs to climb stairs or overcome barriers. There are also Pro-Go, Mini-Quad 5, and Crawler. The study group of Shanghai University seeks to make robots move like animals. At the 2016 World Robot Conference, or WRC, in Beijing, a mature, skilled, human-like robot attracted great attention.
佳佳你好，你有男朋友吗？
你好，这个真没有。
佳佳你好，你会算数吗？1加1等于几？
这位先生，您笑起来的样子真好看。我会算一些简单的算术题。这个问题都不会的话，我不如拿块豆腐撞死。结果是2啊，很2的2啊。
This beautiful girl in traditional Chinese clothes have become a highlight. She's an intelligent robot named Jia, who looks very much like a real woman. The eye-catching robot was developed by a robot research and development team at the University of Science and Technology of China, or USTC, in Hefei capital of East China's Anhui province. It took the team 3 years to research and develop this new generation interactive robot, which can speak, show micro-expressions, move its lips, and move its body.
We selected dozens of girls in our university and finally chose 5 of them to form the facial model of Jia. Her skin is made of biomimetic materials, very close to human being. She even has blood vessel on her arms.
你知道北京的天气吗？
这个问题我要思考一下。
This is Little Chinese Channel, 小小中文 Lesson 2. In this lesson, we will be teaching you these 6 Chinese characters. From our last lesson, we learned the character 十. If we add a stroke like this on top, it turns into 千. 千 means 1,000. 1000 means 1,000. 千 is part of these 2 characters. If we change the top line of 千 with the straighter one, it is 干 means dry. 干的 means dry. These 2 characters have 干 in them. If we give 干a hook, it is 鱼 means at or in. 出生于 means born in. If we turn 鱼 back into 干 and add 2 dots like this, it is 平 means flat. 平的 means flat. If we switch these two strokes around, it is 半 means half. 一半 means half. 半天 means half day. If we turn 半 back into 十 and add a stroke like this and a horizontal stroke. What's this? 车 means wheeled vehicle. 卡车 means truck. Let's write. 千 干 鱼 平 半 车 Bye-bye, the lesson is done.